Hello, 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 and welcome to this space, the AwakenPod space, where we talk about living awakened, embodying being an awakened being, having a human experience. And we're really going to talk about the embodiment today because we're going to talk about grounding as embodiment and how grounding it is, like actually grounding it is for us when we are embodying our everyday human experiences, our life in this space of connection as our spiritual self. So we're embodying the spiritual self, the know that we know that we know we're eternal. We're embodying that in the active daily ins and outs of life. Grounding is embodiment. So we're talking about it. It's a really important subject. Grounding is embodiment. And we're going to look at it and take it deeper today. So thank you for coming into this space. And a reason why I think this is really important is I have a lot of clients, international, so all different backgrounds, cultures, teachings, belief structures, male, female, young, old. I have a lot of clients that as they're moving through this spiritual awakening process and they're shifting their belief structure in themselves, how they understand who they are, like the way they look at themselves and think about themselves, and then the world around them. As they're changing this, they go through spaces where they feel ungrounded. They feel flighty. They can feel as if they are anxious, scattered thoughts, disassociating. They can feel very ungrounded. And I've even had them say, I feel like I'm living too much in my head, as in the spiritual connection points of myself. Like I'm connecting in with, and I'm focusing on the fact that I have a higher self, that I am my higher self, that I am this space of consciousness, that I am this eternal soul, that I am vast, that I've had other lifetimes, that I've come through in other dimensional spaces of myself, that I am a quantum being. So they say, I think I'm living there too much. And I have to figure out how to balance my human, my everyday world with this spiritual space of myself. And the human, because sometimes they get tired of their human, or we get where we almost can't stand the humanness, like in the sense of like, oh, they're so 3D. All we talk about is gossipy stuff, like, who's sick and who needing a surgery and who got a job and who is dating who. And so we can get into a space when we're going through spiritual awakening where that seems so mundane or so just out of alignment with who we are. So it's not comfortable for us anymore. And the people that we're in our lives with, our relationships, our friends, our family, they don't know this. And so then they just are ready to be who they've been and have the conversations with us they've had a million times before. And then we show up and we're like all offended, frustrated, and freaked out because we're being so spiritual and we're in spiritual awakening process, and these spaces just seem so old. You know what it is it's not even a judgment on anybody involved here. It's legitimately good that you do feel that kind of angst and, frustration, and you don't really enjoy having those same types of conversations, because that's a signal that you're not who you were. But the spiritual awakening being balanced and grounded means it's embodied, which would mean you show up in those spaces and you hold peace. You hold presence. You are balanced. You are coherent. You're not angry or frustrated or can't wait to get away from them because they're just so beneath you because they're talking 3D and you're beyond 3D and there's so much more to talk about besides what's going on with Uncle Bob or Uncle Sam or whoever it is. And the really cool factor is those spaces of very regular, everyday human, even older timeline alignments are extremely valuable for grounding in the higher mind, the higher heart, the higher self, the higher spaces of your consciousness into your human now. Those everyday life experiences are extremely valuable. It's when you can maintain and peace and balance and presence, when you can be in those spaces of yesterday, and everybody there's still yesterday, but you're not. But you can show up with grace. Grace doesn't get pinged and frustrated and triggered. Grace is peace. And when you can do that, now you're talking about a person who is spiritually awakened. Now you're talking about a person who has moved into a higher space of their consciousness. If you're still getting triggered and pinged, which I was for years, I would consider myself spiritually awakened, and I was spiritually awakening, but I was not embodying it. I was running this belief structure that was beneath me, that was a waste of my intellect, my time, my conscious awareness. And that was me, that was my design, that was perfectly created. There's no judgment. I'm grateful for it, to assist me in seeing what I see now and what I feel now, because I can be in the presence of these older spaces with these older relationships where the spaces haven't moved and they still are what they were, and I'm not there anymore, but they are, and I can hold grace for the sake of grace, because I am a form of grace. I'm a form of peace. I'm a form of balance. I'm a form of coherent, energetic presence. And I don't get to know that. I don't get to know that until I embody it. And I cannot embody it unless there's an experience asking me to do so. So even the experiences I used to deem as, oh crap, I have got to go do that event. I got to go, Now I can look at it, and it's not perfect, but I'm getting there. I can look at it and I can say, this is an opportunity to register where I'm at with the embodiment of my spiritual self. Because you'll know real quick. I know real quick. And you can even utilize the space. So you're having a regular 3D-ish kind of like engagement with others. And you know for a fact the last time you had it, you were triggered or angered or frustrated or annoyed. And this time you're able to hold more peace. You're able to hold more balance. You still may not want to be there. It's not the top of your list, but for whatever reason, you deemed it worthy of your time and effort and energy. Maybe for the sake of a loved one or something like that. But you can tell that you're processing it with less of a difficulty, less of a difference in register, that you're able to maintain peace even though it's a space that isn't your favorite. These are the most valuable spaces for true embodiment of spiritual growth. It is simplistic It is simplistic to embody spiritual growth in a beautiful sacred site on the planet. You travel to Egypt, or you travel to Peru, or you travel to Sedona, or you travel to Mount Shasta, or you travel to Joshua Tree, and you are embodying your spiritual higher consciousness. Well, it's simplistic to do it there. It's true embodiment at the most incredibly powerful level when you are in an environment that is not conducive to it. And you really have to be it, because the environment is not giving you anything that is, in your opinion, supporting it. The embodiment of your spiritual higher consciousness. You're saying the environment is more void of it, in a sense. So then this is how you gauge if you're really able to embody. So every time I have an opportunity now to have any of these event spaces, that in the past I went through several years of being like, no, I don't really want to. And now some you need to set boundaries. Absolutely. We're not talking about those. But there are many spaces now that I look at and I say, this is such an incredible opportunity for me to gauge my embodiment capabilities and level of my higher mind, my higher heart, who I really am. They say if you put pressure on someone, what they're really made of comes forth because of that pressure, right? If you squeeze an apple, you get apple juice. I think there's a phrase, what's in the heart comes out the mouth. And so when you're in these spaces where it's not as easy for you necessarily to feel super comfortable, super in connectivity with your higher mind and higher heart, and that as you in this now, those are the true gauges of where you're at. So this is about being fully in your body while being fully aware. Not disassociating out because you don't care for the space. If you're allowing grounding as embodiment, which is very, very important for the spiritual awakening, spiritual journey, you're allowing life to be what it's designed to be, which is a grounding mechanism in a sense, and an exploration reference point. And being fully in your body while being fully aware is how we're doing this. So we're not tapping out. We're not pretending and getting by until it's over. We're being available. We're being fully aware. We're being in our body. We're paying attention to our body. We're paying attention to the world around us, but not like over the top obsessively, but the understanding, the inner knowing being allowed of presence. So we're not like floating above life, looking down at everybody. We're not escaping discomfort. We're not disassociating, but we're present. And we're present with the others, the people in our lives that are there. We designed, they designed this connection. It's sacred. It's purposeful. Whatever role's being played is valuable beyond measure. And everybody's got different roles going on, And when we're talking about grounding, real grounding, this is going to include feeling your physical body, like sensing your body, feeling your weight, feeling your body. And so when we get into situations and experiences where we say, oh, I got this tightness in my throat, or, oh, this, sensation in my gut, I could feel it in my gut. Or maybe there's a ping or an ache or a pain or goosebumps or whatever it is the body is doing, it's communicating to us masterfully to assist us in understanding where we are, who we are, and what's going on, how the process is processing. And so even feeling your body, like sensing your body, being aware of your body, sometimes I'll say, take a breath. Like when I meet with people, I'll say, allow your breath, allow the space, let the body drop. I say that all the time. What we're doing when we're doing those things is we're connecting in with the body. You can't acknowledge and let the body drop if you're not feeling into it, connecting into it, intending that alignment with yourself. And then the let the body drop It's the release of the tension. It's the release of the grip. It's the release of the constrictiveness that's forcing, manipulating, and directing things from a space of separated self. So when you let the body drop, you're like allowing it to know it's safe. You let the body drop, you take that breath, you're no longer floating above life, you're no longer escaping discomfort, you're not disassociating, you're present, you're breathing, you're sensing your breath, you're acknowledging your breath, you're letting the body drop, you're feeling the actual physical connection of the body. You're aware of your surroundings, and you're maintaining connection to your physical existence, as you are also allowing your higher mind, your higher heart. This is embodiment. Grounding is embodiment. You want to ground your energy? Most people that are in a spiritual awakening journey, they want to ground. They can feel the energies rising and fluctuating, and they want to ground. But some of them don't know how to ground. And yet every day experiential spaces, the ins and the outs of being human, are extremely grounding. They're made to be grounding. It's a beautiful, super complex design. The human being, the spiritual, ever-expanding consciousness within the human vessel, having a human life. The human life, the humanness of the experience is how the spirit grounds into the now, by being embodied. And this is really big. It's a big space for a lot of people because it's not taught. It's not focused on. If anything, you're taught to do the opposite. You're taught to feed the flesh, make the flesh happy at all cost, give it everything it wants whenever it wants it, stay away from uncomfortable spaces. And this is giving you the opportunity to just adjust that mindset a little bit. Just open up that belief structure a little bit and say to yourself, wait a minute. So my everyday life is the perfect mechanism, opportunity, means in which I can ground my energy, which would assist the assimilation and process of my energy, which would assist the way in which I am expanding my consciousness as I'm being human, having this journey we call life. So you're telling me by living my life, by being human, I'm helping my spirit land. Yes. Yes. By being you and living your life. Yes, it's good to watch shows like this. Please keep watching. Yes, it's good to go to community events like I hold and go to destination events like I and many others hold. We did the Conscious Life Expo recently in Los Angeles. I have a Sedona event coming up in a couple weeks. I have the beach event coming up in the fall. Hawaii might be on the register next year. I'm not sure yet. I'm looking into it. It's good to go to these things. It's good to have these connections with these, what we would call spiritual spaces of ourselves. Videos, audios, meditations, courses, classes, workshops, whatever it is. Absolutely. And then in order for them to be truly activated in our lives, we need to embody them as human. That's when the teachings, the experiences come on. They are actually no longer just something we know about, something we experienced at one time, but they become a part of who we are because we're embodying them. And in that embodiment is the grounding. In the embodiment is the grounding. And there are a lot of spaces that we can navigate in which, you can see yourself as and have the understanding of yourself as a sensitive to energies, empathics, mediums. And not all of them are sensitive. Some of them are empowered. They've shifted their understanding of themselves and the world around them, and they're working with their energies very differently now. We have a lot of people that have utilized Acasma quantum energy to assist with empathic tendencies, spiritually sensitive tendencies, and they're now living really, really empowered lives. But the sensitivity can turn into feeling overwhelmed if it's not properly addressed. And even sometimes spiritual curiosity, like going down the rabbit holes, can turn into anxiety.
Yes.
And open-mindedness can turn into instability. Insights can turn into confusion. All of this is true if the being is not grounding as they're going. So, really important part of this is we've separated out the self for the entirety of humanity. And we've had the human side, the flesh, the carnal, the everyday life. And then we've had the spiritual. And we go and we be spiritual and we do the spiritual things. And then when we're done with them, we go back to everyday life. How many times have you said it or heard someone else say it? They go on a spiritual retreat and then they say, and now back to everyday world, everyday life. It's not being embodied. It's not being grounded in through active living. So the body, the being, is ungrounded. Being human is how you ground. Go watch funny movies. Go read books. Go laugh. Go dance. Go cry. Go for a walk. Go sit under a tree. Go to the beach. Go to the mountains. Go play with your grandkids. Go see your children. Go play with your animals. Go help at a charitable function space. Go give back to society in some way. Be human. Embody the divine within form. That is how you ground your energy. Being human as you remember who you are. That is how you ground your energy. Being human, you say, oh, I feel so ungrounded right now. The energy is going so high. It feels like I'm anxiety, or it feels like this, or it feels like that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm getting a headache. I'm getting this. I'm getting that. Go help somebody that needs help. Go walk in nature and talk to somebody and say hello to a stranger, or call a friend and go for a walk together, or work on a project you've been meaning to get done. Or clean a closet that you know could really use cleaning. Go do something. Go be active in some way. And as you be it, as you do it, as you have the experience, remember who you are. So you're walking through the park talking to your friend and you're like in your head thinking, I am an eternal being having a now who's experiencing a walk through the park with my friend. You just grounded your energy. Now, if you just go for a walk with your friend and you don't talk or think about that space of yourself, it's not that that's wrong. It's just you're not grounding the higher mind, higher heart, and higher self in. You're not truly grounding your energy. You may be allowing a space of restorative care for the body. You may be allowing a space of relaxation for the mind. Those are very beneficial. But when you bring in the remembrance of who you are as you're having an everyday human experience space, as mundane as it could possibly be, now you're grounding in your consciousness. You're grounding in your I am flow. They're not separate. They're not something that we do over here and then we go back to regular life. We're at a space of ourselves now where we need to be available to acknowledge and embody our wholeness in our now. And one of the most overlooked truths, if you will, if your daily functioning decreases and grounding feels insufficient, look at your everyday human life. These are some of the things that would be very common and very grounding for you to acknowledge and do and take care of in a matter-of-fact way. It's as simple as paying bills, Everybody pays bills pretty much in some way or another. That's a grounding space. Maintaining relationships in whatever way that means, the conversations you have, the checking in on each other. Maybe you cook a meal for somebody, yourself, your family members, whatever. You clean for them, or they clean for you and you say thank you. Keeping routines, very grounding. Handling responsibilities, very grounding. Navigating reality clearly, very grounding. So all these things are things we're doing, and we have the opportunity to bring the wholeness in. We have the opportunity to bring the remember who you are in to paying bills. People don't do that. They pay bills and they're pissed off they're paying bills most of the time. Oh, I never get ahead. Some people are running a really good mindset of like, I'm grateful for the ability to pay this. I'm grateful for the ability to get this bill because it means I took this trip or I bought this meal or I have this whatever, There's all these different ways you can work with that. And they all matter, believe me. They all hold a specific vibrational alignment. But paying bills from a space of gratitude and a space of peace in alignment with your wholeness is very grounding. It's the ungroundedness comes in when we shy away from or we drop the ball on the embodiment factors, the real everyday life humanness of us. We don't give it enough attention or recognize it, acknowledge it enough for what it is. We see it as a chore, something we don't really like to do. Keeping a routine, gets old, or maintaining the relationships, it's daunting, whatever. Then we negate the ability to ground. And we wonder why we feel like we're in a state of anxiety, or we're out of sorts, or we're overwhelmed, or we're exhausted, because we've navigated these spaces of life that are regular human everyday spaces of life, and we haven't embodied our wholeness as we've navigated them. We haven't been available for them to be grounding for us. We've seen them as chores and obligations instead of opportunities. Yes. So this is a really big space. It's a really powerful understanding to land, to look at everyday life as a human and be like, this is everything I need. Because most of the time when you're talking about spiritual awakening, the humanness is the side of us that we tend to neglect. We tend to want to get away from. We want to be our star being selves or our angelic selves or our higher selves. But we belittle and we barrage our human self. And our human self is the key factor. If you want the cosmic alignment, if you want the galactic remembrance, if you want the higher mind, higher heart, higher self alignment of you to land, you need to acknowledge your humanness. And you need to get all up in it with love and gratitude, because it's how you're grounding yourself so that you can expand into the next space that you're ready to acknowledge and land. By being human. Don't run away from human. Yes, it can seem like it's more fun to watch a video like this or come to an event that I offer. I enjoy hosting the videos and hosting the events, and then I go and wash dishes. Or I go and do laundry. Or I go and vacuum, or I go and take care of a grandchild, or I go and help my child, or I go and talk to a neighbor. I go and do very human things because I'm a human and I live in a human form. And I can remember at one point of my journey being so like, okay, let me just go wash the dishes real quick. Let me just get it done and let me get back to the fun part. And now I'm able to wash the dishes. And as I'm washing the dishes, remember that the fun part is happening as I'm washing the dishes. It doesn't stop because I am no longer in the Zoom meeting, or I'm no longer at the destination event, or I'm no longer in the meditation, or the energy session, the space of my consciousness that's in all of those spaces is also now, because I've chosen to, welcome as I wash dishes, welcome as I change the sheets, welcome as I talk to the neighbor, welcome as I take care of the grandchild, welcome as I, whatever human thing I'm doing, my spirit, my essence, my consciousness is doing it with me. And I am more grounded now than I have ever been in my life. And I carry higher levels of energy, vibrational frequency, spaces of source consciousness than I ever have in this human form. And I'm more grounded. Yes. Allow that merger. Allow that merger. Allow yourself to fall in love with life. Humanity. I saw a woman the other day. It was sad. She had 3 kids and she was walking into a restaurant and she had a t-shirt on that said humans, plural. And then it had 5 stars below it, but only 1 star was white. The rest were hollow, you know? And so I'm guessing that that meant she gave humanity 1 star. And I thought that was really sad. I felt for her. That her perception of the world around her is focusing on that. And creating more experiences for herself that back that up, that say, as you wish, let me prove you right. As you navigate life, you choose what you see. You choose the perception you hold of what you see. You choose the meaning you place on what you see. And whatever you choose is then vibrating out, signaling out, broadcasting out. This is my creation. Find it and align it with me. And understanding that the humanness is how we embody. The humanness is how we ground. And the grounding in the embodiment is how we expand. This is the gift. This is the gift. The human, the humanness. It's the most valuable part of the equation. It is the one part of the equation that is temporary as well, is rare, unique. You get one time through as this you. One shot as this you. To embody, experience, and explore as your wholeness within your now. Allow yourself the value. Allow yourself the connection of that value. To feel it, to sense it, to nurture it, to bless it, to be aware of it, available to it, and watch that expand. Watch that grow. Watch that shift. And you ground deeper and deeper into a presence that's unwavering, that's filled with peace, filled with balance, filled with coherent flow, and a life that reflects back accordingly. Grounding is very important, holy ones. And embodiment is grounding. Embodiment is grounding. So there are many other techniques to use that are very helpful as well. Visualizations, meditations, energy session spaces. We've talked about visualizing your feet before. I think in the video before this one, we even did a little bit of a grounding exercise with the feet. We talked about the root reconnection space and Acasma quantum energy, which is here specifically to help with grounding as the expansion process unfolds. And it does. Acasma quantum energy teaches at great detail about embodiment and about being a new human and running this incredible space of life in this connection of remembering who you are. Even the book, I wrote a book about it. And if you look at the cover at the very top, it says, remember who you are. AQE Foundations, higher dimensional understandings birth higher dimensional realities. Embodiment embodiment. Don't run from your human. Those of you who think you're a starseed, you know you're a starseed, you believe you're a starseed, and you're trying to figure out how to survive Earth, you're here to thrive on Earth. You're here to thrive on Earth. That's a programmed belief structure they want you to believe because you're powerful. And you came here to be that power. But as long as you believe the disempowerment spaces of it, they can keep you in check. So be mindful of where you place your direction of your energy, what belief you feed. You don't need to leave Earth. You came here for a purpose. You're not weaker than this space. You're stronger. Everything that you see that you don't like needs to happen. It's part of the process. Releasing the judgment opens the flow and allows everything to happen more efficiently, more effectively, more optimally, quicker. Gripping it, fighting it, judging it, hating it, running from it slows it down. And it's all your design. You signed on, I signed on, we signed on, we built it, we designed it, and now we're living it. And it's everything we need it to be. And we're everything we need to be. And as we allow that, as we connect in with that, we are the embodiment of that. And as we embody, we ground. And as we ground, we are whole, we are well, we are balanced, we are strong. So I'm going to lay this at your feet. And it is always a pleasure and an honor to be with you. Thank you for being this space. Thank you for being the AwakenPod and living awakened. Bye-bye.